underway on Friday at 10 a.m. So stay tuned for that. The champ game is a Friday night this year, as a reminder. At 7 p.m. on ABC. General public seating starts at $109 and is $75 for students. General admission tickets go on sale this Friday, and perhaps a team that could be playing at Arlington for a Big 12 championship. Kansas State Wildcats, led by Colin Klein, and their athletic director, Gene Taylor, is joining us here on Big 12 Radio. Gene, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing very well, thank you. It's interesting. We were just sort of catching up during the break and talking about the four new coaches in the Big 12, and it's maybe a surprise for a lot of these coaches. I think, a year ago, if you were to say that, hey, at Utah and at Kansas State, they're going to have new head coaches, you may have thought things had gone horribly awry. And they haven't, right? I mean, just circumstantial for you to be able to bring back, with Klein being such a good coach, winning a Big 12 championship at K-State, but really an opportunity with Klein and how his ascension and his history at K-State, it just made too much sense.
Yeah, if I'd messed that one up, they'd have probably run me out of Manhattan. But yeah, no, obviously, Coach Kleinman did a heck of a job replacing, somebody like Bill Snyder and coming in here and winning a Big 12 championship, and caught us a little surprise. There's no question about it when he announced his retirement. But the timing was perfect. Colin left here wanting to someday be able to come back. I don't think we all knew it was going to be as quickly as it did. Obviously, he was at Texas A&M as a coordinator, offensive coordinator for 2 years, but worked out really well. He's been awesome since he's been here. I find it interesting sometimes. I'll introduce him at certain events, and people look at me like, Gene, I've known Colin since he was a freshman in college. So, but no, he's done a great job adjusting to the role, and things will continue to change throughout the fall. But we're really excited to have him and his staff. He's done a really good job putting his staff together.
Gene, in what ways does Colin Klein remind you of Bill Snyder?
I see glimpses of it. At practice when he finishes practice, some of the details that he focuses on, outside. Obviously the summer, you get here, he's into recruiting and he's busy. Then, but just his amount of detail and literally wanting to be involved with as much as he can with this program. I wouldn't call him a micromanager, and I'm not saying that Coach Snyder was, but Coach Snyder knew everything was going on in his program, and he had certain things he wanted done a certain way. And Colin's adjusting to the new world of college athletics and football in particular. But there's still a lot of Coach Snyder isms in some cases, and just how he approaches his practices, how he approaches his preparation, some of the things how he wants it to be run. In terms of a program. So yeah, there's glimpses, and then there's things that he says post practice that I'm like, oh, I've heard something like that before. So, uh,
Gene, have you brushed up on your law recently?
like law, like legal stuff, or what?
Yeah, I mean, feels like to even talk about this stuff, you've got to have a legal degree right now. But
Yeah,
um,
yeah, it's funny. I feel like I know way more about politics and law and courts and systems and how it all works more than I ever thought I would at this point in my career, particularly.
yeah, that makes two of us. What are your thoughts? Let's start with the news from last night on this 2022 eligibility ruling from Colorado. Kind of what do you know about it? How are you positioning your athletic department for this? What are the implications of it? What has your legal team told you in reference to it?
Yeah, we work obviously with our compliance folks, and we've got an in-house attorney that helps us, just understand the processes. So we've talked to our coaches. We've given them a list of potential athletes that either played here or in the portal that they could talk to. But we've also told them to go very cautiously, because we obviously expect that the NCAA will appeal it. And keep moving it through the appellate process. But we have to be prepared that if it stands, that we got to be able to adjust to it and give our coaches the opportunity. But it's just funny. Every day I seem like get on the various news outlets, and there's another either
Yeah.
lawsuit or another legal thing that could affect how we operate. Our staff have to be nimble. That they can't lock their knees on any particular issue, because it could change each day. There's no question.
Gene, can you give us Kansas State's stance on the Big 12 and the Monster Energy deal?
Yeah, it's been interesting. Obviously, it's we're always moving forward with it. We've got the logos coming down the field. Initially we had a lot of questions. Some of us are schools that don't necessarily, we're Pepsi schools and Monster's a different brand, but I think it's going to be good. I think it's unique. It has not affected as much as I thought initially that having a Monster brand next to the Big 12 was going to maybe take away from our ability to go out and sell a jersey patch, which it hasn't. We've had a lot of interest in that. Um, and the money's going to be helpful. It's we'd always like it to be more, but I would say this: I think Monster's excitement about being a part of the Big 12 could lead to bigger opportunities down the road. And so yeah, I mean, I think it's so far it's been a benefit, and it's been a mostly easy transition once we got the deal signed through the Big 12. They've been very responsive to the schools, from what I understand. They've been working very diligently to get the logos in and in place, and the schools are moving through. So, I think it's an opportunity that could continue to grow, and we'll see where it goes. But we're excited about it.
What do you make of some of the other benefits of it? We saw in a NASCAR Cup Series race this past weekend in Iowa that the Big 12's logo is featured prominently on the Monster number 35 car. We know about the international marketing opportunities. Like, what, in your mind, is this beneficial beyond just the revenue stream that it provides for the logo placement?
Well, that was it. Yeah, good question. And I obviously, those I was at the Big 12 Media Days and actually talked to some of the Monster folks that were there. And one of the things we talked about was what other opportunities are we not even aware of yet that could really benefit the Big 12. And the NASCAR thing was one that hadn't even crossed my mind. But again, that's another opportunity to expose the Big 12 to an audience that may not know about the Big 12. It's a unique opportunity, and so I think what's exciting about the Monster folks is they want to get creative. They want to find different ways. They really want to help push the Big 12, help push their brand. And I think as we go through the agreement over the next few months, particularly during the football season, we could find even more opportunities that could even strengthen the relationship even more so, and potentially open up the door for additional revenue. But I think it's just so new. We're trying to figure all that out. But I think the NASCAR thing's a great example of an idea that they said, "Hey, let's just give it a try." And because they're so unique, because they just typically have not done traditional sports, and I think that brings a potential new opportunities that we're not even aware of at this point.
Gene, I want to get political with you again. The Protect College Sports Act, it stalled in the Senate over the weekend. What are your thoughts on the Protect College Sports Act, and do you think it'll get passed at some point?
Yeah, I really do, and I only say that because I've talked to our senators here in Kansas that have been very involved, particularly Senator Jerry Moran, and talked to staffers, and they understand the importance of it. Obviously, it got political towards the end with some of the things that happened on the Senate floor, and they're obviously dealing with other things other than just the Protect College Sports Act. I do like the act. I do think there's a lot of good things in it. I have not read the entire act. Couple of our colleagues in the Big 12 have, and I think it's 170 some pages long, so I haven't quite delved through it. But I think there's a lot of good stuff in it. My hope is when they come back in September, it'll get on the docket early. There's certainly some challenges to it with other members of both the Senate and the House, but I just know there's enough conversation and enough of the schools and this that we hope we can just continue to push our senators to get it out of the Senate, and then it's got to go to the House and probably have some changes there. But I like what's in there. I think it's needed. I think we do need to get it passed, and I certainly I'm hopeful that it gets passed in September.
Curious, have you had issues scheduling P4 opponents in the future? Have you guys had games canceled? What does this look like for future scheduling? Because the SEC and the ACC are going to 9 conference games, and is there a situation where the Big 12 can't schedule Power 4 opponents in the non-conference to add a 10th Big 12 football game?
No, we haven't. I mean, we just, I think we've gotten a couple out years handled already. We haven't announced the games yet, but there's a couple. We haven't had any canceled. We didn't have any Big Ten or SEC opponents on our schedule over the next few years. Obviously, we've got Washington State this year. I think we've got Oregon State down the road. We scheduled those when they're in the Pac-12. That's one of the things we have to talk about as the Big 12, depending on where the college playoff goes. If it goes to 20 or 24, or if it stays at 12, whatever the number it ultimately comes out to. I think that's a conversation because right now, as you know, we play the 9 Big 12 opponents, and then one of our league policies is we have to play a 10th P4 opponent. So, that could be a factor in our abilities to make the playoffs. And so I think those are conversations we're still talking about from a scheduling perspective as a conference. But right now, we have not had a lot of difficulty finding a P4 opponent. Matter of fact, we've been in conversations with a Big Ten school potentially, but again, we haven't finalized any of those deals. But we'll see. We'll see where it goes. But I think the people are going to have a harder and harder time are probably some of the FCS and FBS programs, in my opinion. But we'll see.
Great stuff. Great insight, great perspective there. How's your summer been? Have you had a chance to get away, go somewhere?
Yeah, it's gone fast. They typically do. I don't know what happens. It seems like graduation comes in middle of May, and next thing we know, it's football season. I got a little bit of away around the 4th of July. Typically, I take about 2 weeks around the 4th, and we got about a big weekend. And then my daughter lives here in Manhattan. She works for us at K-State, and she and her husband were moving from in town to the place out of town. So I spent the second week moving her and her husband with the other folks. So my second week off was in town moving my daughter. But it's been good. I play a little golf, not a ton, not as much as I like. Particularly, sometimes I kick myself for not getting out more. But it's just been good. There's just been a lot going on. Obviously Colin's new, and so the month of June he had a full slate of weekends with official visits, and wanted me to be involved in some of those. So, but it's been good, and next thing we know, we're going to be kicking off a football game. I guess the good news is we're not in Ireland this year.
Yeah.
So we've got an extra week of preparation.
Yeah, well said. I'm sorry to hear your daughter moved away, though. Do you have any grandkids?
No, yeah. Well, actually, she's just outside of town, just about 20 minutes.
Got
so
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
we
not
have
too
one.
far.
We have one grandson, brand new. His name's Weston. He's about 8 months, almost 9 months now. So
Wow.
we get to see him quite a bit, and that's been fun too. Is he's been around quite a bit, and we get a lot of time with him. So it's nice.
That's awesome. Well, congrats. Maybe someday Weston will be on the football team.
Let's hope so. Let's hope he, is good enough an athlete, but he probably won't get that from his grandfather on this side. Right? It may have to come from his grandmother on this side or the other side of the family. I don't know. We'll see.
Gene Taylor, Athletic Director at K-State. Thank you so much for your time. As always, appreciate you very much. Take care.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Hopefully we'll see you again throughout the year, and it should be a fun season, no question.
Yeah, cannot wait for it. No
Thanks,
doubt about
Gene.
it. Happy to get away from lawsuits and into talking football. Gene Taylor, the K-State Athletic Director, joining us here on Big 12 Today. Big 12 Radio. We are presented by Modelo. Heard on TuneIn and watched on Big 12 Studios. Our countdown to kickoff continues next with West Virginia. We're telling you what we know, what we don't know, camp battles to watch, injury news, depth chart, and all the latest on West Virginia football as our countdown to kickoff series continues next. This is Big 12 Today, presented by Modelo. Heard on TuneIn and watched on Big 12 Studios.